Hello everyone. If you stumbled onto this video, you're going to be listening to someone rant into the void about something that may or may not interest you. I don't know, people like listening to people talk, or at least I do. So I thought I would give myself a chance at trying to do that. Very strong intro, I know. But today I kind of had the idea while I was, preparing my morning breakfast and coffee and whatnot, that a lot of people seem to think that the only reason people oppose messages in games, as in like political messages specifically, right, is that people don't like things to get political. And the very old counter argument to that is that, you just don't want political messages that you disagree with, because a lot of like super popular games like BioShock have very overt political messaging. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say games should or should not be political. That's up to the artist or the design team and the people who write the story of the game to include what they want to include. But it made me think, is there a game, or any kind of media for that matter, that I fundamentally disagree with the core theme or the core message of the experience, right? But I still enjoyed the experience of viewing or playing through or whatever the kind of art is. Now, I kind of had to think about this for a while, because there are a lot of things that I can look at and say, I agree with that and I enjoy it. You're much more likely to enjoy something if it lines up with your viewpoints or you're sympathetic to it. In much the same way, if a family member of yours does something to wrong you versus if a stranger wrongs you, you're much more sympathetic to the family member than the stranger. But I actually had to scratch my head about this for a little bit, but it finally came to me that the experience, or the game specifically, that I can look at and say I refute the fundamental of it, but still like the game, is actually Fallout New Vegas. Now, Fallout New Vegas is a game that you might not think it has a central theme or message, right, at first glance, because it's like, it has multiple endings, nothing is canon, right? If you side with the Legion, for example, the message of the game is whatever the political philosophy of the Legion, how you would describe it, is. That's not exactly true. Everything in the game is through the lens of the player. So the through line throughout New Vegas is you, basically, the player character. What we can construct from that is that New Vegas is about great man history, as in looking at one person's impact on history. It's historicism, more or less. If you're not familiar with the term historicism, it's more or less the idea of constructing our view of history as a narrative, as in things have meaning because they happened, in the sense that it's very mythological in a way, like history as a story, more or less. And if you disagree with that, there are many people that do that. There's a great video about a refutation of historicism. I think it was Kraut. He did it. I think his channel's still called Kraut. I'm not sure. He's deleted a lot of his old videos, but if it's not there might be a mirror of it somewhere. But that's a very interesting viewpoint of what is the one person's effect on the history of this fictional setting. And that's basically what New Vegas is. Its message is that the actions of a single person, right, have rippling effects. And people talk about how they love the ending slides of the game, and they show how far-reaching your actions have consequences. The reason why I say that I fundamentally disagree with this message is that it's not really one person's effect. In one of the DLCs, and minor spoilers for the New Vegas DLC, Lonesome Road. If you haven't played it, I think it's good. The game's $14, the Ultimate Edition. I might be wrong. I'll probably have the actual Steam page on screen if I got the price wrong. But Ulysses, he tells you that you were not careful with your actions. You brought this you bring this device, at least in your player character's backstory, right? You brought this device to the Divide that had nuclear launch codes, and it caused the destruction of this place called the Divide that he wanted to live in. And so the whole message is one person's actions can make or destroy the wasteland. But is it really your actions? Because you're also forced into this narrative, by the way. Unlike every other point in the game, you have the choice to have the effect on the wasteland. You are given the choice to either join, kill, or to not help Kaisar, or join, kill, not help House. Well, actually, you always kill House, more or less, but you're given choices in the game, in the main game. But in the DLC, where they chose to condense the themes of the main game, of the through line of the courier, the player character, you're not actually given the choice. The choice in that DLC is to do it or not do the DLC. It is confirmed that you always have to destroy the divide in your backstory. But getting back to the main point, is it really you doing it? Because not only do you not have a choice metatextually, right? It has the same kind of flaws that another philosophical system has, the principle of sufficient reason. Now, New Vegas and philosophy go hand in hand, because there's always the talk about how Caesar has a very specific conversation with you about his views on philosophy and all that. But the principle of sufficient reason, right? It's very simple, or at least it's very simple to explain quickly, where everything that happens has a reason, right? You deliver a package to somebody in the divide, and that is the cause, right? And what happens because of the cause is the effect. The effect, the divide is destroyed by the nuclear missiles underground. Well, is the cause really you? Because is it not caused actually by the person who ordered the codes, as in ordered the, I believe it was Eddie, the robot that you delivered? Or I could be wrong, but is it not the person who ordered the device that causes the explosion the real cause? And you can extend this to every single facet of the game. You can argue that it's not actually your fault or your decision. Like, for example, if you choose to side with House, and House tells you, okay, go over to the Brotherhood of Steel bunker and destroy it. Is that really your choice, or is it Mr. House's choice? Who is the quote unquote great man in this scenario, right? Is it the fact that the courier is there the reason that it happens, or if the courier did not exist, would somebody else have destroyed it? New Vegas does this really big showing of you are very important, because it's very computer gamey. I like that, calling it like that, because it makes you over important, and I fundamentally disagree with that. Now, the game is fun. It's very fun, to me at least. Some people don't like games like that. I know if you're somebody who really likes tabletop games, you're not going to like that. Or if you're somebody who likes low fantasy stories where you're just an adventurer, or you're like that, you're not going to enjoy a game like that, because it makes you over important. If you don't like to be the main hero of the story, right, you might not like it. But design-wise, right, the reason New Vegas is the way it is because it's a computer game. It's very easy to drive a narrative like that if the player character does all the work and is the most important, and you feel good, right? I do a thing, I receive consequence, brain gets serotonin, a monkey see, clapping hands, that. That's the game design reason, right? But looking at it as a message, I disagree with it, because even though, right, there's the game design reason for it, and the game design reason is okay in my opinion to have power fantasy, right? You can still disagree with it as a message, because it existing as a design choice inherently creates that message. The two are not completely separate. One can influence your view on the other. If you really like that aspect of the power fantasy of New Vegas or Fallout or Bethesda RPGs in general, because they all have a very similar curvature in power scaling and importance in the plot, that you can ignore more or less the message if you enjoy it enough, enjoy the gameplay enough. But if you're looking in this situation like I am at the implications of it, of the actual message of the plot, one person can have all of this effect on society. I can disagree with that, because is it really that one person? Which brings us back all the way around to the original idea of this video that I had, was, can you enjoy a game that you disagree with? And I think that answer is yes. However, this is the part of the video where I open up the discussion to the comment section. Have you played a game that you've disagreed with and still enjoyed it? Because New Vegas is top 5, in the top 5 of my favorite games of all time. even though like I said, fundamentally disagree with the message of it. Now, I can't say that about almost anything else that I can think of at the moment, at least until I've had my morning coffee. But what about you guys, gals, people everywhere out there? Let me know in the comments. This has been the Ferryman rambling for like 13 minutes odd. I don't know. Have a good one. Stay safe.